Non-probability sampling methods. Non-probability sampling methods are techniques used to select a sample from a population without ensuring that every element or individual in the population has known and equal chance of being included. Non-probability sampling methods are commonly used in situations where it is challenging or impractical or to implement probability sampling techniques. So, like there are various types of non-probability sampling methods. Like first one is known as convenience non-probability sampling method. Convenience sampling involves selecting individuals or elements who are readily available or convenient to access. This method is quick and easy but may introduce bias because the sample may not be representative of the entire population. Second one is known as judgmental sampling or purposive sampling. Judgmental or purposive sampling involves selecting individuals or elements based on the researcher's judgment or specific criteria. Researchers intentionally choose participants who are likely to provide the information they seek. This method is often used in qualitative research or when study specific subpopulations. Quota sampling. Quota sampling divides the population into subgroups or strata based on predetermined characteristics. Interviews or researchers then select participants from each subgroups until predefined quotas are met. Quota sampling allows for control over the sample composition but may not be random. Snowball sampling. Snowball sampling is often used when studying hidden or hard to reach populations. It starts with one or few participants who are asked to refer other potential participants, creating snowball effects. This method is commonly used in social network studies or when studying marginalized communities. Volunteer or voluntary or response sampling. Voluntary response sampling, also known as self-selection, opt-in sampling, occurs when individuals choose to participate in a study. Participants self-select by responding to invitations or surveys. This method can introduce bias because those who choose to participate may have different characteristics or opinions than those who do not. Quota sampling with random selection. In some cases, researchers may combine quota sampling with a random selection process. Quota sampling is used to select participants within predetermined strata, but random selection is applied within each quota to improve representativeness. And some of the other nomenclature like availability sampling. Availability sampling is subtype of convenience sampling where the sample is based on what is available or accessible. It may involve surveying people who happen to be present at a specific location or event. While easy to implement, it can lead to biased sample. Panel or longitudinal sampling. Panel or longitudinal sampling involves selecting a group of individuals or elements and studying them over an extended period. This method is not a random, but it is used for tracking changes or trend within the same group of respondent or over time. So, non-probability sampling methods are often quicker and more cost-effective than probability sampling methods. However, they may lead to biased results and make it difficult to generalize findings to the entire population. Researchers using non-probability sampling should be aware of potential biases and limitations associated with these methods and consider them when interpreting results. Now we should know probability comparison between probability versus non-probability sampling methods. So here few points we will discuss if questions like distinguish between probability and non-probability sampling methods. So probability sampling methods and non-probability sampling methods are two distinct approaches to selecting a sample from a larger population in research and survey studies. The primary difference between these methods lies in how they are ensure the representativeness of the sample and the extent to which the results can be generalized to the entire population. So first we need to understand probability sampling methods. As we know, probability sampling method is a random selection. In probability sampling, each members of the population has known and equal chance of being included in the sample. Random selection is the hallmark of probability sampling. And representativeness probability sampling methods are designed to provide a sample that is representative of the population from which it is drawn. This means that the sample characteristics like age, gender, income are likely to be mirrored those of the entire population. And generalizability findings from probability sampling can be generalized to the entire population with known degree of precision. Statistical techniques can estimate the margin of error associated with this generalization. And probability sampling methods. One, inferential statistics. Probability sampling allows for the use of inferential statistics, which involve making statistical inferences about the population based on the sample data. Bias reduction. Probability sampling minimize selection bias, ensuring that each element in the population has an equal chance of being selected, which reduces the risk of bias in the sample. Examples like simple random sampling, stratified sampling, systematic sampling, cluster sampling, these are the probability sampling methods. Now, non-probability sampling methods, non-random selection. In a non-probability sampling, elements or individuals in the population do not have a known or equal chance of being selected. This selection process is not based on randomization. Limited representativeness, non-probability samples may not accurately represent the population. The sample characteristics may not match those of the population, leading to potential bias. Limited generalizability, findings from non-probability sampling are generally less generalizable to the entire population. The degree of generalizability is often unclear or limited. So, descriptive statistics, non-probability sampling is typically used for descriptive purposes rather than inferential statistics. It may be more appropriate for exploring or describing a specific subgroup or phenomenon within a population. Bias potential, non-probability sampling methods may introduce selection bias as certain elements or individual may be more likely to be included in the sample than others. Examples: convenience sampling, judgmental sampling, purposive sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling, voluntary response samplings are types of non-probability sampling methods. So, probability versus non-probability questions coming distinguish between probability versus non-probability sampling methods. Then we can say the primary distinction between probability and non-probability sampling method is the randomness and representativeness of the sample. Probability sampling ensures that every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected, leading to a representative sample, allowing for generalizability and inferential statistics. And non-probability sampling methods do not guarantee an equal chance of selection and may result in less representative samples, making them more suitable for descriptive or exploratory research when probability sampling is not feasible. Researchers should carefully consider the choice of sampling method based on their research objective and available resources.